Hey guys, this is Ballin, and today I want to show you how to get started with Rainbow Six Siege and how to improve if you are starting to play this game. Therefore, I got this little beginner guide, and in this beginner guide I will show you which operators to buy first, some general tips and tricks, good settings for your graphic settings and key bindings, and in the end of the video I will show you which DLC operator you should buy first. So of course this is for more experienced players. And maybe some of you will now think, a beginner guide? Seriously, Ballin? The game is already out for more than 1 year. I know. But most of the old beginner guides are already really outdated, and I think that I can give you some really good advices and tips and tricks. And apart from that, Rainbow Six Siege gets a lot more popular every day, so a lot of new players are coming to this game. And of course you don't want to learn how to play this game with an outdated beginner guide. Alright, so first off, don't forget to collect your free renown by watching those tutorials over here. You can easily just skip those tutorials if you want to, and you get 200 renown for each. Once you have collected your free renown, it's of course time to buy the first operator. But which operator should you buy first? I've made a list of 6 operators you should buy first, and I will give you a brief overview about these operators right now. So the first operator should be a Rook. A Rook is very easy to play. You just have the special ability to put down an armor bag, and after you've done this, there's nothing you can really do wrong. And apart from that, he has 2 really good primary weapons, the P90 and the MP5. And as a beginner, I'd rather go with the MP5 actually. For the MP5, I would choose the ACOG, Flash Hider and Vertical Grip as attachments. You can of course experiment a little bit with the sights once you have enough renown, but I'd go with the ACOG because it's basically the best sight in the game. And if you prefer the P90, it's basically the same. Pick the ACOG and the Flash Hider and you're good to go. So as you can see, Rook just puts down an armor bag containing 5 ballistical vests for your whole team, and you will get 10 points for each vest. And well, Rook is quite a stationary player because he has high armor and low speed, so you shouldn't really roam a lot with him. You should be basically really stationary with him and don't roam too much with Rook. So basically the easiest way is just to go into the objective and stay there. And as your first attacker, I would recommend buying Thatcher. Thatcher is quite easy to play as well, and he brings 2 really good primary guns with him. So the L85A2 is quite powerful and has 30 rounds mag. It is quite powerful with the ACOG, a compensator and a vertical grip, so that would be the attachments I would choose. And the AR33 is quite powerful as well. On this one you can actually choose between the angled grip and the vertical grip, so that is basically personal preference. I actually prefer the angled grip, but as a beginner you should probably go with the vertical grip. As special ability, Thatcher carries 3 EMP grenades with him that can disable electrical devices such as bandit batteries, jammers, cameras, Kapkan traps and stuff like that. He can be very important for a thermite if you want to open up a certain access route to an objective. So you can of course make some mistakes with Thatcher, but in casual matches it doesn't really matter that much. As your second defender, I would buy Kapkan, because again, you can't really do anything wrong with this operator, and his primary gun, the VSN, is really a decent gun. It has pretty much no recoil and a high fire rate. And as attachments, I'd choose the reflex sight, the compensator and the vertical grip. Again, you can choose between the vertical grip and the angled grip, but as beginner I'd choose the vertical grip again. And as special ability, Kapkan carries 3 booby traps. You can deploy those booby traps in a doorway, and if an enemy player runs through that doorway, this booby trap will then explode and give you a free kill. Kapkan is overall quite similar to Rook, so you shouldn't roam too much with him and you should be more stationary in the objective room. As your next attacker, I would buy Twitch, because now you have gained a little bit of experience, and Twitch is really a good operator. I'd go with the F2 as her primary, because it's basically one of the best primary guns in the game. Again, as attachments, I choose the ACOG, the vertical grip and the compensator. If you gained a lot more experience in the game, you can as well choose the 417 and play some rounds with this gun. But as beginner, I'd stay with the F2 because it's just way better. As her special ability, Twitch has 2 shock drones which can disable electrical devices or hurt enemy players. One of them you can already use in the preparation phase, so that can of course come in really handy. And well, you can play Twitch quite aggressive because her gun is really good at taking out enemies because it has low recoil and a high damage output. As your next defender, I would choose Jäger because he is very quick. He has 3 speed and 1 armor, so you can learn how to roam with this operator. His primary gun is incredibly accurate and really good. It's the HK 416C carbine, and again I would go with the ACOG, compensator and vertical grip. As special ability, Jäger can place an ADS which destroys all kinds of grenades and other explosive projectiles. And as I already mentioned, Jäger is very fast and has a quite decent primary gun, so he is very good at roaming and taking out targets at every range. And now, as your last attacker, I would buy Ash because she has as well 1 armor and 3 speed, and her primary guns are really good as well. So I prefer the R4C actually, again with ACOG, flash hider and vertical grip. You could as well choose the compensator of course, but I got the flash hider on this gun. Ash's special ability is to shoot a breaching round with her grenade launcher, and this round destroys all the barricades and even destroys walls that are not reinforced. To really fulfill Ash's full potential, you have to make use of her speed and her good primary gun, so rushing with her can be really powerful. Alright, now I've got some general tips and tricks for you guys to improve in the game and to avoid some of the most common mistakes. So first of all, never reinforce walls between 2 bomb sites if you're playing bombs. Instead you actually want to open that wall either with impact nades, a nitro cell or shotguns, so that you can at least see from one bomb site to the other bomb site. Same goes for hatches by the way. So think about your reinforcements and use them smart. My second advice is to never play Fuse on hostage if you're a beginner. Once you gain some experience, it might be okay to play Fuse on hostage, but I wouldn't recommend it actually because it is just too dangerous to fuse your own hostage and losing that round because of this mistake. And now my most important advice that I can give you is learn the maps. You can either do this by making a custom game and running around the maps a little bit and try to remember where staircases are and where the objectives are. You can also look for the cameras so that you know where the cameras are as an attacker, and the rest will come with playing. And another way to learn the maps is by roaming a lot. If you're playing very stationary and you're staying only in the objective room, you will see nothing but the objective room for the whole round. And if you roam a lot, you will remember all the rooms and the connections between the rooms, the staircases and stuff like that. So that's a good way to learn the maps actually. If you don't know how to make a custom match, by the way, it is quite easy. Just click on play, multiplayer, custom game, and then you can choose between online or local, it doesn't matter for this case, and voila, you have a custom match. Alright, my next advice is to not be too stationary. With Rook or Capcan, it is okay to stay in the objective room. You can of course stay in the objective room with every operator, no problem, but I wouldn't recommend sitting in one corner behind your deployable shield, for example, because once you are droned and the enemy knows where you are, they just have to peek and you will have basically no chance to react because they have a slight peekers advantage. So you have no time to react. If they are peeking, they can just pre-fire you and you're basically wasted. So try to change your positions a little bit, especially if a drone spotted you. Speaking of drones, my next advice is use them. As an attacker, you should always drone first before you go inside, especially if you are a beginner. So droning is good, but don't drone too long. So that's my next advice. Don't take too long before you approach the objective actually. Because if you're running out of time, you will make a lot of mistakes. And if you're running out of time, you have to do something, of course. You know it and the enemy knows it as well. So if you're running out of time, it is quite easy for the enemy to predict what you will do. Alright, my next advice is to learn how to roam. I actually made a guide on this one a couple of months ago, so you can of course watch this one. I know, shameless self-AD, but it will be linked in the description of course. If you don't want to watch this guide, you can of course learn it by yourself or watch a different guide. That's no problem either. So basically roaming is just about being as active as possible as a defender, running around and stuff, and confusing your enemies, getting a good flank on them and stuff like that. But enough for roaming. My next advice is to play ranked as soon as possible. So as soon as you reach level 25, you can queue for ranked and you can jump into ranked. I would advise to do this because you will learn a lot more in ranked matches, of course. And please don't get demotivated just because you lose some of your ranked games. Don't be scared. Because at the end of the day, Siege is just a game. I mean, no girl's gonna ask you for your rank or your KD, of course. So seriously, fuck it. Well, not the girl of course, but your KD and rank and stuff. Because fucking a girl against her will is considered rape and stuff like that, and yeah, I don't want you to get into trouble. Alright, now back to the topic. My next advice is to warm up before you jump into a ranked game. So play some casual games, 1 or 2, that should be enough, and you will do a lot better in your ranked match. My next tip is to always pick the same spawn if you're playing ranked. So every ranked game, pick the same spawn that you like the most on a certain map. And this is because a lot of players spawn pick as defenders. They just open up one window or something and then they can see the entrance of a spawn somewhere. Just like I am doing in this clip that you are seeing right now. So by picking the same spawn over and over again, you will learn from which windows or from which walls you can get spawn peeked. So if you get spawn peeked at this spawn, just remember from where it was and you will learn for what position you have to watch out the next time. And now my next tip is to play with a team, of course. If you know people that are playing Rainbow Six Siege already, that's good. And if you don't, that's not a big problem as well. Just be friendly in the game and you will find people to play with really quick. So playing with a team where you can communicate is of course a lot more fun. And my last advice is to keep watching Rainbow Six Siege videos or live streams. I'd say you can actually learn a lot more from live streams because you can basically see everything that's happening around good kill streaks, because in the most videos you just see good kill streaks and stuff, and that's it basically. Alright, these are all the advices that I could think of, so let's go through the adjustments in your settings really quick. So the display page is actually not that important. I would just set the field of view to 90. That's basically the most important part. The only thing that could be important is VSync. So I had a bug in the preparation phase where I would get freezes of 10 or more seconds, and setting it to 1 or 2 frames fixed it for me. Alright, now the graphics settings, they will be on custom of course. So texture quality and all the quality stuff is basically up to you. I got most of it on medium, some on high. Shadows is actually quite good on very high. And all the other stuff like lens effects, ambient occlusion and all this stuff, turn this stuff on off. And I would advise using temporal filtering. It will be a lot faster. And well, you just want to turn all your lance effects and bloom effects off, because that can be really annoying in game. For the controls, you can of course play with the mouse sensitivity over here. I've done it, but I would advise to just let it all on 50 for starting Rainbow Six Siege, and if you want to adjust something, you can always do this. This stuff is of course all personal preference, and well, there is actually one control that I would customize. If you have a mouse 4, you can put secondary gadget on mouse 4 instead of G, so you can still walk to the right if you're, for example, throwing your nitro cell or a grenade. Now to the last part of the video. Which DLC operator should you buy first? Since DLC operators are quite expensive, you want to make the right choice and buy the right DLC operators first. So I made a little ranking of all the DLC operators. So yeah, the operator that I would consider as most useful is Hibana. Hibana has a good gadget. It can easily replace Thermite, especially if it comes to hatches. And of course her primary gun is really good, even though it doesn't fit that many rounds into the magazine. 20 rounds is of course not that huge, but her secondary is really good as well, because you can choose between a SMG and a good pistol. Number 2 on my list is Jackal. This is because his two primary weapons are really good. Let's just forget about the shotgun. So the assault rifle is extremely powerful, and the SMG is quite good as well, because it can fit 50 bullets into a mag, and that's of course really good as an attacker. But actually I think the assault rifle is a lot better, because it has pretty much no recoil with the right attachments. And of course to have a shotgun as secondary is very good as well, so you don't really need breach charges with him, so you can take flashbangs. And apart from that, his tracking device is quite powerful as well. And number 3 on my list is Valkyrie, just because of her cameras. Her weapons are not that good, but her cameras are really very useful. The next operator is Mira, because her gadget kind of helps the team a lot. If you place her mirrors correctly, you can pre-fire enemies, or you can predict from where enemies are trying to approach the objective, but still there is of course this bug where you can destroy the mirror from the outside. Number 5 on my list is Capitao, because his gadget is quite powerful in the right hands. He has grenades, and he is a 3-speed operator, so that's something that is quite good. He might not be the best operator, but you can of course be really good with him. Next operator would be Buck, because his gadget can be helpful. It might not be helpful if you're not using it right. So at some objectives it is really powerful if you, for example, open up the whole ceiling or the whole floor. But unfortunately his primary has quite a high recoil and a spray pattern that is hard to control, and the DMR isn't really that good either. So Buck can of course come in quite handy, but he is of course not the best operator. Next one on my list is Kevera. She is of course one of the best roaming operators, but at the same time she's very hard to master. Her pistol is basically what is very good and very bad about Kevera at the same time, because the pistol really has a high damage output, especially at close range, but it is quite hard to aim with this pistol, especially if you're not that experienced with playing pistol only. But of course her special abilities to go silent and to interrogate people are really powerful. So in the right hands, Kevera can of course be a really strong operator. Alright, number 8 is Frost. She was actually a lot better, but since they have nerfed all the shotguns, she became pretty much useless. Her traps sometimes work, but most of the time you won't catch anybody in your traps, so she is left with a SMG that is quite good, but not really the best weapon in the game. So yeah, Frost is not really that good, especially in higher ranked games. You don't really see her a lot, but I don't know if she's picked more often in lower ranked matches. The next one on my list is Blackbeard, and this is probably just personal preference, just because I don't like Noobbeard. I don't know, I just don't like this operator. They nerfed the shit out of him because he was honestly really overpowered, but now he isn't that good anymore and he doesn't really help his team a lot with his gadget. So yeah, Blackbeard might come in quite handy, but I don't really like him. And the last one on my list is of course Echo. This is because his primary weapons are pretty much useless. The MP5 SD doesn't really have a high damage output, and the shotgun isn't that good either. His gadget can be quite useful though. Of course, having a drone as defender is not the worst thing, especially because you can stun enemies with this drone, but stunning someone with his gadget and getting the kill right afterwards is basically pretty much impossible because he is a 1-speed operator. So until you get to an operator that you shocked with your drone, this operator might already be on a different map. I'm kidding of course, but in my opinion Echo should at least be a 2-speed operator. But of course if you work quite good together in a team, Echo can be quite helpful. And yeah, I'll say it again, this DLC operator ranking is just my opinion. So of course you might prefer a certain operator or think that a certain operator should be higher in the ranking. You can let me know this in the comments, so it's completely fine if you don't agree with me on this one. Alright, so that's it basically for today's video. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments down below or on my live streams, because I will be streaming a lot more now. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did so, don't forget to leave a like and feel free to subscribe. See you next time, guys.